Welcome back, everybody, to the Baltimore Orioles franchise here on MLB The Show 21. We are pretty much through the first half of the season, entering the All-Star break, and it has definitely been a rocky start to the year. In April and May, we were playing pretty good baseball. Things seemed to be going well. And then we took a downwards turn, starting the month of June really poorly. We then traded for Tristan McKenzie and Shed Long, and then things went up. And here in July, it has gone back crashing down again. We are 2-8 so far in July, 0-8 in simulated games. So long story short, it has been a rough start to the month. We are going to take a break from focusing on the Major League team, and we are going to briefly go over the All-Star festivities. And I do want to point out something that's kind of cool. The All-Star stuff this year will be at our very own Camden Yards, and this is the ballpark the game chose on its own. I didn't just say, hey, let's do it at Camden Yards. This is what the game selected, and obviously I was more than happy with that. It's very cool to be able to host the All-Star game and whatnot. Starting with the Futures game, we have 3 representatives for our team, including starting pitcher DL Hall, who's having a great year in Double-A. He's been in Double-A for a while. I thought that was our Will Brooks, but it's actually a different closer named Will Brooks. And then in the lineup, third baseman Shane Kovaleski, the number 3 overall pick out of the University of Miami last year, who's having a great season in AAA. And then Xavier Bowman, our number 1 overall pick a couple of years ago, who started the year off slow in Double-A, but the past month or so, he has played really well. I am super impressed with Xavier Bowman as of recently, and he might be getting a promotion very soon, so look out for that. Here is the National League squad, by the way. There are quite a few subscriber-made international free agents on both teams, which is really cool. And by the way, international free agency will be pretty soon, so stay out on the lookout for that. Normally I do it in early July, but this year it's going to be a little bit later, but we're still going to get that in. So here we go, the Futures game here at Camden Yards for the 2024 All-Star Week. Here is the number 1 prospect in baseball, Archer Robinson of the Texas Rangers. He will be starting for the AL team. We will be simcasting the Futures game, but we will play in appearances for our players. So whenever DL Hall pitches or whenever Kovaleski and Bowman hit. The NL Futures team scores a run in the top of the first. Now we go to the bottom half of the inning. Runner on first, nobody out here for Xavier Bowman, who lines this one high and pretty deep in the left, but it will be caught. Nicely hit by Bowman, but that one will go for an out. The following batter right behind him is Shane Kovaleski. I did mess around with the lineup a little bit to have our 2 guys bat pretty early. Kovaleski with a hanging pitch up in the zone. That one is high, deep in the left field, and it is gone. Shane Kovaleski with a 2-run homer here in the Futures game. And that'll put the American League squad up 2-1. A great start for our very own Shane Kovaleski in his first at-bat at Camden Yards with his first home run of many in this ballpark, I would assume, in the future. Him and Bowman both got loud ovations when they were up to bat from the Oriole faithful. And Kovaleski is going to send one of them a souvenir. Simulating forward now, the very next batter, Diego Molina of the Yankees organization, also hit a home run. And our offense really did well in that inning, scoring 3 runs. Good inning for Archer Robinson in the bottom of the second, or in the top of the second, excuse me. Now on to the bottom of the second, Xavier Bowman will get an at-bat. 2-2 pitch, big swing and a miss on a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. So Tim Cate of the Nationals gets out of it, but he does allow 3 in the top half of the first, and that will end his day. Archer Robinson's day is also done. Simeon Woods Richardson is in for him, and his inning would go pretty smoothly. Shane Kovaleski leading off the bottom of the third against Eric De La Cruz. We almost drafted Eric De La Cruz a few years back. He was in the Xavier Bowman draft class, and had Bowman not been there, Eric De La Cruz likely would have been our number 1 overall pick that year. Kovaleski flies out to left, so his second at-bat a lot more uneventful in comparison to his first one. Into the 4th inning, DL Hall will now be on the mound here for our Baltimore Orioles, so he will be pitching this one, and we will pitch it with him. He also got a loud ovation from the Orioles crowd as Jorge Zaya of the Phillies organization draws a walk. That'll bring up Drew Lugabauer. 3-2 pitch, a little lefty-on-lefty crime as he flies this one out into right, and it will be caught. DL Hall's a very weird player. He started the series in Double-A, and, well, he hasn't really gotten past it. He's been in AAA. He has not played well there, but in Double-A, he's been really good. So he hasn't really progressed through the past 3 seasons. The runner would steal second as this is Will Wilson of the Giants. Flies this one into right, and it will be caught. Will Wilson has been a top prospect at shortstop for the Giants a few years now. They had him and Marco Luciano at the beginning. If you remember, the Orioles traded for Marco Luciano very early on. And obviously that has not really worked out for Baltimore, considering he hit 199 in the first half of the year before being called down. Brett Beatty would ground out to third, so that ends the top of the fourth inning. Good work from D.L. Hall, only allowing one base runner, no runs scored, and it's still 3-1. Into the fifth, Jonathan Quesada is in. So this is like my favorite inning. He walks the bases loaded, then double play, walks a fourth batter, and gets out of the inning. So he walks 4 batters in one inning, yet nobody scores. That's the funniest thing to me. So Alex Wood will be pitching for the NL. Now this is strange because Wood is a 10-year Major League veteran who has started in 15 Major League games this year. Now Xavier Bowman does get a single off of him. So yes, Xavier Bowman just got a base hit off of a Major League pitcher. That's kind of cool. Now Wood is currently in the minors, obviously. He did not play well in the big leagues, but still, that's kind of funny. Now facing off against Shane Kovaleski with Bowman on first, and this one is crushed into left! Shane Kovaleski with his second home run of the game, and the American League will make it a 5-1 lead. So Shane Kovaleski has 2 home runs here in the Futures game as he drives himself and his future Baltimore Oriole teammate Xavier Bowman to score. And Shane Kovaleski just hit a home run against a Major League pitcher. That is just still really cool to me. An absolute bomb and a nice little bat flip. Not really a bat flip, more of just a bat place down. Watching that one go 417 feet, and the American League extends their lead. Making a lot of substitutions with pinch hitters. I wanted to get everybody in. Now, none of these players on the bench are on our team, but I still figured that'd be the fair thing to do. Into the 6th inning, Ethan Hankins gets into a little bit of a jam, but he gets out of it successfully. Into the bottom of the 6th, Brennan Malone now pitching for the National League. We're probably not going to have our guys up until the next inning or so. And Malone looks like he's not really having any trouble. It would be a 1-2-3 inning. Now we only have relievers left. I think the NL is the same way as Luis Seibel is in. He would get through the inning fairly easily. The NL has not scored since the first inning, and we have only scored on 1 play since the first inning. That was a 2-run homer by Kovaleski. Here at the bottom of the 7th, Xavier Bowman up with 1 out. Going to ground this one over to short. The runner will advance to second safely because he's really fast. He doesn't have to worry about the shortstop throwing him out. Bowman, however, is out, so nonetheless, there's now a runner in scoring position for Shane Kovaleski. This one is hit into center. That'll go for a base hit. The runner looks like he's going to score, and Shane Kovaleski has now driven in 5 runs today. Kovaleski is 3 for 4 with 2 dingers and 5 RBIs. Have yourself a game, kid. And with how he's playing in AAA, he might be playing more often in Camden Yards pretty soon. Let's just say that. The other, Will Brooks, I believe he's in the Twins organization here in the top of the 8th. He has not had a great year, just like our Will Brooks, but he did get out of the inning fairly easily. 6-1 going into the 9th. Lawrence Rowland, the 99 potential reliever from the Oakland Athletics, gets out of the inning easily. And the American League wins the 2024 Futures game by the final score of 6-1, led by a dominant performance of Baltimore Oriole top prospect Shane Kovaleski, who goes 3 for 4 of 2 home runs, drives in 5 RBIs. Just an unbelievable game from him. And I would not be surprised if him and Xavier Bowman, to be honest, both made their Major League debuts before this season ended. If both of them are on their current trajectory of how they've been playing, that's certainly a realistic expectation. Tim Cate did not pitch well for the NL. All their other pitchers did. Actually, pretty much if you did not face off against Shane Kovaleski, you did quite well. Xavier Bowman had a fine game as well, 1 for 4. He also scored a run, courteous of one of Kovaleski's homers. Archer Robinson gets the win. He's the only one to have allowed a run. Outside of Robinson, the rest of the pitchers only allowed 1 hit the rest of the game. We did see plenty of walks, including 4 in 1 inning from Jonathan Quesada, but nonetheless a great performance. So in the Home Run Derby, unfortunately, we do not have any participants, but I still wanted to do the Home Run Derby, and I figured using Lenny Lang would be pretty fun. Lenny's had a very interesting Major League career, spent a year and a half with the Red Sox, was traded to Cleveland, and was there for about 15 minutes, and then was traded to the Cardinals in the offseason, where at 38 years old has had a career year. Although we don't have our guys in it, I think Luis St. John and Nick Castellanos both had 22 home runs at this point, which was not enough. It would be fun to use Lenny Lane because A, he's a cool player, and B, his son Benny Lane is a channel legend. It's funny that Lenny Lane and Benny Lane have had completely opposite career trajectories, where Lenny Lane is in his prime and he's damn near 40, whereas Benny Lane was in his prime when he was like 22 years old and declined after that. So Lenny will be the last one to get an at-bat here, facing off against Ian Happ in the first round, who had 16 home runs, representing one of Lenny Lane's NL Central rivals in the Chicago Cubs. So far, so good for Lenny, hitting the ball quite well. I'm going to try to get through the home run derby fairly quickly. I believe we did it last year with Max Muncy in San Francisco and ended up losing in the first round, but Lenny does not appear to have that same issue. He's pretty much already halfway at Ian Happ's number at 7 currently. Will that be 8? Not quite. He's kind of on a cold streak now, but there's number 8. So he's officially halfway there. He does not have any 2 home runs of 440-plus feet yet. If he does get that, he will be awarded with 30 seconds of bonus time as he calls his timeout. He's probably not going to need that 30 seconds at this pace, but certainly not a guarantee by any stretch. Only a minute and a half to go. He still needs 4 to tie, so he should get it. Now 3 to tie. That one went 442 feet. His first of 440-plus. That's 15. He needs 1 to tie, 2 to win within 40 seconds. That one is not going to tie it. That one into straightaway center. Again, not quite. Lenny Lane making a little bit too close for comfort, but that one is number 16. And then there is number 17, 394 feet. Lenny Lane shakes hands with Ian Happ as he advances to the semifinals, where he will face off against Ronald Acuna. So everybody in the semifinals dominated. Pete Alonso hit 23. Miguel Sano answered with 24. Ronald Acuna hit 22, which is the mark that Lenny's going to need to beat. Considering Lenny Lane is a 38-year-old man, that's going to be pretty tough to do if you ask me. That home run went 440 feet, so he's already halfway towards the 30-second bonus, which I think he will probably need, considering Ronald Acuna hit 22. Lane is making fairly good pace so far in just over a minute. He has 7 home runs. He's probably still going to need that bonus time, but so far, for the most part, so good. There is number 10 with 2+ minutes to go. And yeah, at his current pace, he's probably going to need that bonus time, but beating Ronald Acuna is certainly possible. Lenny calls his timeout about halfway through his 4 minutes. In the final round, players get 2 timeouts as that home run goes 447 feet, so he officially reaches to the 30-second bonus, which is going to be gigantic. Needs 6 home runs, now only 5 home runs, and just over a minute. Yeah, he might actually have Ronald Acuna beat. Is this number 20? Not quite. Still is under a minute, just under a minute. There's number 20. And yeah, he's definitely going to need that 30 seconds at the buzzer. 21, so he needs 1 to tie, 2 to win. That one's going to tie. 420 blaze it for the win. That's going to be close, and he got it. Lenny Lane will be moving on to the finale, beating Ronald Acuna Jr. So it'll be Miguel Sano and Lenny Lane for the Home Run Derby Championship. Sano only hit 15, so based on how Lenny Lane has played today, he could put a blindfold on and probably still win. And so far, Lenny is dominating with 3 home runs in the first 30 seconds. As long as Lenny does not get complacent, he might be able to win it with a minute to spare. Maybe that's jumping the gun a little bit, as he is currently ice cold. He does get number 4 there, now number 5. Now he's starting to heat up again. I thought of a cool idea possibly later in Lenny Lane's career when he's like 40. What if we traded for him? Now, he probably wouldn't cost that much in a trade, but we do have plenty of good first basemen in the system. Carmen Sixto, obviously, in limited major league at-bats, looks like a stud. But I don't know, just something we could consider towards the end of the series, trading for Lenny Lane, even though he'll probably be in the 70s in rating. He's still going to have really good hitting stats, and he'll be a fine DH. Currently at 11 home runs with just over a minute to go. Still only has 1 440-plus foot home run. So this isn't really a guarantee. He is still on pace to beat Sano, but I don't know. 30 seconds, he needs 3. There's 1. This one to tie, and he got it. Now he only needs 1 to win. This could do it. And Lenny Lane has won the 2024 Home Run Derby. Unfortunately, a Baltimore Oriole could not participate in this event, but at least it's Lenny Lane who wins it. Lenny hit 17, 23, and 16 in each respective rounds. 447 was his longest. So cool to see Lenny Lane winning this year's Home Run Derby. Now on to the All-Star game. We're going to start by looking at the All-Star rosters. Our Orioles finished with 4 All-Stars, with German Marquez, Edwin Diaz, Adley Rutschman, and Nick Castellanos. All of them were the highest vote getters at their respective positions. Since Edwin Diaz is not a starter, he won't start, but the other 3 will, including having German Marquez as the starting pitcher. Former Oriole Kenyon Middleton is an all-star with the Dodgers, so he's kind of making us regret not re-signing him at the end of last year, considering the bullpen has been a little bit shaky at times. Another former Oriole at third base, and Maikel Franco. Now, he mainly got in because the Reds need a representative, but hey, former Oriole making the All-Star game, there you go. Here are the minor league All-Stars, by the way. For Double-A, we had Kyron Baldwin, D.L. Hall, and the knuckleballer Eloy Zambrano. Former Oriole Adrian Almeida with the Pirates organization. Robbie Morris and Patrick Carver get in, along with another former member of our organization in Willie Cruz. Gunnar Bergeson gets in at catcher. We did not have a lot of our bats get in, which was kind of a surprise. We did have a few with Jeremiah Jackson and Antony Flores, and then the outfield, we had 4. Muhammad Mauer, Xavier Bowman, Tim Cloud, and Deshaun Knowles. So you only have 3 outfielders on the team, yet 4 of ours are All-Stars. For AAA, we did not get overly lucky. We do have Hideki Asuncion in the All-Star game, former Oriole Cesar Mara. We also had Xavier Edwards get in. Edwards is another guy who I think could get called up real soon, as long as he still plays fairly good baseball. We're not going to go over the minor league All-Star games, but we will go after the Major League one. The 2024 Midsummer Classic here in Baltimore at Camden Yards, hosted by your Baltimore Orioles. The Orioles have quite a few All-Stars this season. There were a few players who you could argue deserved to get in, but did not. You can make an argument for Louis St. John. You can make an argument for Corbin Burns. You can make an argument for Jordan Hicks. Quite a few guys who maybe should have gotten in, but did not. The Orioles are tied with the Angels for the most All-Star starters with 3. The Angels had David Fletcher, Mike Trout, and Anthony Rendon, all as starters. Luis Severino and German Marquez getting warmed up as we take a look at German Marquez representing our Baltimore Orioles. He's arguably been the best starting pitcher in baseball, which is crazy considering last year his ERA was in the 5s for most of the season. So it has been something else to see him play really well. We're going to do what we did with the simcast of the Futures game. We're only going to play in opportunities for our players. So we will pitch the first couple of innings with German Marquez, but we're not going to be playing the whole game. We're only going to be playing with our guys. Marquez walks Jose Ramirez of the Washington Nationals. So that will bring up Freddie Freeman of the Braves. Still one of the best hitters in baseball. Freeman hits that one high into center field. It would be caught by Mike Trout, who is still doing Mike Trout-like things, unsurprisingly. Ronald Acuna now, maybe trying to get revenge for losing to Lenny Lane in the home run derby. It's a single into right. The throw to third is not in time from Castellanos and the cutoff man. So Marquez is in a little bit of a jam. Runners in the corners for Bellinger, who goes down looking. Was that 2021 real-life Cody Bellinger there at the plate? I mean, that probably was a ball, and it was a full count, so bad call by the umpire, but we're not going to complain. Luis Severino of the Marlins is on the mound as the AL loads the bases for Nick Castellanos. For the cultured baseball fans out there, I want to point out, if Castellanos hits a grand slam, that would be a deep drive in a left field. That would make it a 4-0 ball game. Again, if you get the joke, you get the joke. That's not going to happen, unfortunately, but Castellanos does draw a walk, so a run scores, and that will make it a 1-0 game. So we'll see if we can drive in any more. We would get 1 off of a sac fly from Anthony Rendon, so overall pretty successful as we pitch with Marquez here in the second. His inning would not start off so great. Bryce Harper with a solo shot in a deep center field, and the National League is on the board. Bryce Harper of the Philadelphia Phillies will make it a 2-1 game. That'll bring up Will Smith, the Fresh Prince of behind the plate, and that one is going to be hit towards second base. David Fletcher will make the play, one of 3 starters from the LA Angels. Keston Hiura now up. He's really developed into a good player for the Brewers, and that's going to be an error against Bo Bichette. Bichette then way overthrows the first baseman, so instead of a routine ground out, Hiura is now at third base. I think that's like 2 errors in one play. Remarkable. DeYoung's up. The first baseman throws it home. Hiura is safe. DeYoung's safe. And the game is tied at 2. So a weird string of events there. Inning does come to a close as Christian Yelich will ground into a 5-4-3 double play. That'll also end at German Marquez's day. He allows 2 runs, but only one of them is earned because Bo Bichette apparently cannot play defense to save his life. And now here we are in the bottom half of the inning. Adley Rutschman will get his first at-bat, 3-time All-Star, all as a starter, and now he gets to do it in front of his home crowd. Count is 1-1 with 1 out, nobody on for Adley. And this one's going to be a weak pop fly. Ramirez will fly under it. So that's going to be an out for Adley Rutschman. Not overly eventful. As we skip forward now towards the third, German Marquez taken out of the game. We're going to put Garrett Cole of the Yankees in. Cole is having a pretty good season himself. Not quite as good as Marquez, but still pretty good. He would get into a little bit of a jam, but gets out of the inning successfully. Buehler now in the third, as he's going to face off against Nick Castellanos with Mike Trout on first. Count is full. 2 outs for Nicky. And this one is going to be weakly hit into right, and it will not drop for a hit. It will be caught. Game remains tied at 2. The American League has not done a whole lot on offense since the first inning, as Brady Sr. is in the fourth, gets through the inning fairly easily. Jacob deGrom in the bottom of the fourth, another easy inning. Jose Urquidy is in the fifth, and again, pretty simple. Both teams' pitching staffs are really doing well as Zach Gallen is in. His first batter is our very own Adley Rutschman, who's going to try to get a base hit here. This one is hit high. Actually pretty deep in the left field. Back at the track, at the wall. It's caught. Yeah, I was trying to get climactic there. Wasn't happening. Christian Yelich is able to grab it fairly easily. Gallen gets out of the inning. Into the sixth now, Casey Mize is in of the Detroit Tigers. Good to see him really developing into a good player. Gets out of the inning easily. Clayton Kershaw, the old man, still one of baseball's best as he faces off against Castellanos. Full count pitch. This one is hit high, pretty deep in the center, but again, not deep enough. Both offenses have just gotten completely blanked since the second inning. I mean, this is remarkable. I don't think the American League has a hit since the first inning. Henry Silva is in the top of the seventh. I would tell you what team he's from, but to be honest, I don't know. In for the NL is still Kershaw. I imagine they'll make a pitching change soon. Yes, Amir Garrett is in. We're making a few substitutions as well. I meant to do some of these earlier, but I'm still getting them in as Alex Bregman hits a triple. A big hit for Bregman. And now the AL is going to try to drive them in. Rhys Hoskins draws a walk. Adley Rutschman is up. We would take him out for Yasmani Grandal. And Grandal would get an RBI single. That'll make it 3-2. The future Tiger in real life, Carlos Correa, flies out. I'm speaking that into existence, by the way. And then Nick Solak is also out. Into the eighth inning, we're going to put Diego Castillo in. Look out for Edwin Diaz to possibly enter in the ninth as Joey Bart hits a single, steals a base. Okay, Joey. But Diego gets out of the rest of the inning fairly easily. And then into the bottom of the eighth, we're going to get a few more subs in. Franmil Reyes from Cleveland faces off against Benito Rosario. Now we get Randy Arozarena, just recently traded to Toronto. He grounds out. And then Jorge Soler is up, also grounds out. So now into the top of the ninth. Still a 3-2 ball game. We're going to get the final couple players who have not entered in with Mitch Garver and Xander Bogaerts. I at least wanted to get them a little bit of playing time, even if they don't get in the bat. And, of course, it's Edwin Diaz time. Diaz got the save last year in the All-Star game, I believe, in San Francisco. Now he's going to try to do it at home in Baltimore as he strikes out Keston Hiura to open things up. Hiura looks pretty frustrated as he goes back to the bench. Paul DeJong is now up. Interesting that the NL has not really made any substitutions, as this one will be flown out into right. Jorge Soler will make the play for out number 2. And now it comes down to Dominic Smith. Hey, a substitution. Smith swings and misses on the slider. Edwin Diaz strikes out his former Met teammate. And the American League wins the 2024 Midsummer Classic by the final score of 3-2. Seems like the AL beats the NL like every year in the All-Star game. If you're a fan of an AL team, just know that the AL's better. AL represent. Good win for us, and our very own Edwin Diaz wins Player of the Game. I guess there was nobody else really deserving, so that's why he won it. But there you go. We had the MVP of the Futures game and the All-Star game. Luis Severino did not pitch all that well, but the bullpen outside of Amir Garrett was really good. And then for the American League, only 4 hits. We had 3 errors, 2 of which were by Bo Bichette on 1 play. I believe the only home run in this game was Bryce Harper off of a German Marquez pitch. Marquez kind of was not all that good, but the rest of the American League pitchers did not allow a run, and they did not allow many base runners either. So now we're going to talk about the big league team again as we open up the second half of the season. And of course, we're riding the struggle bus right now. We've lost 4 in a row, 2-8 in our last 10. We've been passed by the Blue Jays, who are 8-2 in their last 10. Everybody in the AL Central is hot. The Tigers have won 7 in a row. Minnesota's won 5 in a row. Interestingly enough, the Blue Jays are currently the #1 seed in the American League. There are like 6 or 7 teams at the top separated within a few games, and then you got the Dodgers in the West, who are like 10 games ahead of everybody in all of baseball. So you got the Dodgers, and then you got like 10 teams who are all within a few games that include us. Now, when we were on our losing streak earlier in the season, I was able to make a couple moves, get Tristan McKenzie, get Shed Long, and that kind of put a Band-Aid on our problems. And I don't really know what the issue is right now. Everybody in our everyday lineup is doing well. Now, the pitching's been a little bit not so great lately. Tristan McKenzie has not played all that well since we acquired him. Max Meyer is cold. Matthew Thompson has really struggled as of recent. So maybe it's the starting pitching. The bullpen has been a little bit inconsistent, too. I guess that's what you're going to get with younger players in there, like Julian Starnes, Adrian Marijon, and others. So Anthony Dominguez is a player I'm probably going to call back up soon, but we are going to make a different roster move, not involving the Major League team, but Xavier Bowman, as I kind of hinted at earlier, will be going up to AAA. I think he deserves a promotion, and as long as he plays pretty well in AAA, he's going to get some Major League playing time at the end of the year. Zufus Polydoros will take his spot in AA. So we're going to play this first game at Citi Field against the New York Mets, a pair of aces on the mound. I mean, I guess Corbin Burnes hasn't really been the ace this year, but he's still been really good. The Marlins want Nick Castellanos. Isn't that cute? They're going to offer us Brian Anderson and a couple of below average, I don't even know if you'd consider those guys prospects. Obviously, we're not going to be doing that trade. As we open up the second half of the season on MLB Network, on national television, I don't really think this team deserves to be on national television right now based on the way they're playing, but maybe the All-Star break will give this team the needed break and needed re-energizer, if you will, that will hopefully lead to a successful second half of the year. Now, it's going to be tough in this first one, facing off against Jacob deGrom, who made yet another All-Star team this season as we start in the second. Heston Kjerstad rips a single into right. Kjerstad only really played about 45 games because he was injured early in the year, but obviously Kjerstad has been unbelievably good since he returned from his injury. Carmen Sexto, another player who has really stepped up as of recent with a double into right. If you told me that our arguably most consistent hitters during the All-Star break at the beginning of the season would be Carmen Sexto and Heston Kjerstad, I'd say you're crazy. But here we are. They're probably the most 2 dependable hitters right now. Jalen Miller will ground this one out to short with 2 away. Lindor makes the tough throw. So the Orioles are unable to drive anybody across, and when you have 2 runners in scoring position against a guy like deGrom, you have to capitalize, and the Orioles do not. Corbin Burnes is on the bump for the O's. He has not necessarily played like an all-star this year, but he has been quite good. Tough throw here at third, and the Orioles are going to make the play. That was Shed Long, who, by the way, is wearing a new jersey number. He was wearing number 7, now he's wearing number 1, because 7 is retired by the Orioles. Gary Sanchez goes down looking. Gary Sanchez just looks cursed in a Mets jersey. I cannot unsee that. Gary Sanchez was not meant to play for the Mets. Top of the fourth, still tied at 0. A pitcher's duel through and through. Kjerstad flies out to center. So that is 4 shutout innings for Jacob deGrom, who has been doing Jacob deGrom type of things today, and that is dominating. On to the bottom of the fourth. It is J.D. Davis up for the Mets, and this one will get by the glove of Jalen Miller for a single into left. So now that the Mets get their first base hit of the game, yes, Corbin Burnes had a no-hitter before that, will they drive them in? And it looks like they might with 2 away. Big Meat Pete with a double off the wall and right. Davis rounding third. The throw from a cutoff man is not in time. I think the Orioles were hoping that ball would bounce over the fence for a ground rule double, but instead the Mets drive in a run, and they take a 1-0 lead. Top of the fifth, Carmen Sexto swings at a bad pitch to swing at, but he does get a base hit. Carmen Sexto appears to be picking up right where he left off from the end of the first half of the season. He is now 2 for 2 today. Following batter, Max Muncy grounds that one right to short for a double play. Now, Muncy has been playing better as the year has gone along, but he has still been fairly disappointing, definitely not as good as he was last year. Bottom 5, Khalil Lee with his second at-bat of the season with a homer into right, his first Major League dinger, and the Mets will make it a 2-0 lead. Khalil Lee with a big home run, so New York is now up by a pair. Jacob deGrom does strike out, though. A little pitcher-on-pitcher crime, as that'll end the inning. Corbin Burns cooling off a little bit. deGrom has stayed hot for longer as we go to the 6th. Ivan Cortes Jr. in as a pinch hitter for Burns. Lays down a beautiful drag bunt, because that's what Ivan Cortes Jr. does. Now the Orioles have their speediest base runner on first and an opportunity to get back in the ballgame. What are they going to do? Well, a weak grounder over to second. Now, the Mets would only get 1 out. However, Ivan Cortes Jr. is no longer on base, which is unfortunate, and Shed Lawn, who is quite a bit slower, now takes his place at first. Louis St. John, who I gave some new equipment to before the game, he strikes out. Make that 6 scoreless for Jacob deGrom, and the Orioles lineup does not look great at the moment. Julian Starnes is in the bottom half of the inning. He's had a kind of rocky start to his major league career, but he is certainly learning as it goes. J.D. Davis flies this one out to second. Nice play by Max Muncy. Normally Muncy plays third and Lawn plays second, but the Orioles decided to switch those two up just to experiment, I guess. Speaking of Shed Lawn, here he is at third, making the grab. Good inning for Julian Starnes as he retires this side. The Orioles have learned from experience not to put Starnes in for multiple innings, so his day would be done. Top 7, Castellanos leads off, swinging a miss. Jacob deGrom continuing his dominance, and something has to give at some point for this lineup. Heston Kjerstad now 3-2. This one is hit high, pretty deep in a left center field. Back at the track, and it's gone. Heston Kjerstad finally gets the Orioles out of his shutout, his 11th home run of the season. And remember, he made his season debut in the middle of May, continuing to be super duper impressive. As that brings up Carmen Sixto, trying to get his 3rd base hit of the game. And he looks like he's going to be successful. That one goes in a right. And that will bounce over the fence for a ground rule double. So the Orioles get a runner in scoring position. And at this point, the Mets know what they got to do. Jacob deGrom has pitched an unbelievable game today, but you can tell he is starting to get a little bit of gas, allowing back-to-back extra base hits as Thomas Skapucki will enter in relief, the lefty. And we'll see if he can continue to pitch well, or if the Mets are going to pull off a lull Mets and blow it. That's not particularly a promising start. The first batter he faces, Max Muncy, singles into center, and this game is tied at 2 as Carmen Sixto will score. And the Mets bullpen has already kind of blown it, and they've only faced off against 1 batter. Here's Anthony Rizzo now, the very next at bat for the Orioles. This one is lined into right. That one will bounce right in front of a wall for a double. Muncy will hold up at third, but the Orioles now have 2 runners in scoring position, only 1 out. They have a real opportunity to take the lead in this inning. That'll bring up pinch hitter Elliot Ramos, who has obviously not played well this season, but he is better against lefties as he weakly flies this one out to short, slamming his bat in frustration as Francisco Lindor will make the grab. Shed Lawn is now up, and he goes down chasing an off-speed pitch. The Orioles had an opportunity to score 2. They do not capitalize, but they did score 2 before. Tied at 2 going into the bottom half of the 7th as it's Jordan Hicks and for the O's. Hicks hasn't necessarily lit the world on fire this year, but he has been good as Michael Conforto will ground this one into the right center gap. Going to try to head for second, and he is safe. Testing the noodle arm of Louis St. John. That decision pays off. So Conforto is now in scoring position as it's Jeff McNeil at the plate, and he watches a fastball go right down the middle. You cannot strike out looking by watching a fastball sail right by you. So Jordan Hicks gets out of the jam as we go to the 8th. The All-Star Adley Rutschman leads things off, or should I say 3-time All-Star Adley Rutschman, as that one's going to be a home run. At first, I saw it go off the wall back into the field of play. I thought that was just going to be an extra base hit, but clearly that went over the fence and off a different wall. Rutschman with his 15th home run of the season, and with Louis St. John, who mashes against lefties next up, the Mets are going to remove Skapucki and put in a righty in Clark Schmidt. Now, St. John would still get a base hit, a single into center, his first hit of the game. So I guess putting in a righty to face off against Louis St. John didn't pay off that much. Heston Kjerstad now up, going a little oppo-poppo. No doubter for Heston Kjerstad, his 2nd home run of the game, 2nd home run in as many innings, and the Orioles lineup has completely exploded since the start of the 7th, as it is now a 5-2 game. Into the bottom of the 8th, Travis Lakins is in for the O's. He has not allowed a run this entire season, albeit a small sample size, but hey, he's gone the entire first half of the season without allowing a run. His first batter in the second half of the season will, sure enough, hit a home run as Khalil Lee gets that one off the foul pole. Lee with his second career home run, his second home run of the game as well. The Mets' Big Apple will rise up, and New York brings it within 2 as it's now 5-3. J.D. Davis now up with 2 away, full count pitch, swinging a miss on the curveball. So Lakins will get out of the inning fairly nicely. He does allow a run, courteous of Khalil Lee, who has played really well, unlike just about everybody else on this team other than DeGrom. Edwin Diaz, the former Met, is in here in the bottom of the 9th. Edwin Diaz is pulling a lot of games for the Mets. You know, low Mets, bullpen chokes. Edwin Diaz was at the height of that, so it's fun to see him just turn into a stud in Baltimore as he strikes out big meat Pete Alonso. And then Michael Conforto to finish it off, grounds it to first. Rizzo will throw it over to the pitcher, and Edwin Diaz will record the final out. Orioles take this one, final of 5-3. A great showing here from Baltimore, starting the second half of the season with a win, and we needed a win like this. The New York Mets lose in the most Met-like way possible. Jacob deGrom dominated, and the bullpen let them down. I feel like that is the story of Mets fans' lives over the past 6 or 7 years. Our offense could not hit until the 7th inning, and then our offense exploded. 2 home runs for Kjerstad in that span, 1 for Rutschman. Max Muncy also drove in a run. Corbin Burns pitched pretty well. The bullpen did a pretty good job as well, so overall I was impressed with pitching. And again, outside of DeGrom and Khalil Lee, nobody on the Mets was all that good. So normally I would simulate, but we're actually just going to stop here because it's been a pretty long episode. And 2, I would rather have more time at the beginning of next episode to simulate and assess whether we need to panic and make a move, or if the All-Star break is just what this team needed to get back into their groove. We also have the trade deadline coming up, probably the episode after the next one. I think next episode we're going to go up to the trade deadline, and then the episode after that will be the trade deadline itself. So I hope everybody enjoyed this one. Let me know what you thought of the All-Star stuff. What should we do here at the beginning of the second half of the season? Make sure to like, comment, and if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the post notification bell. Peace out.